But the National Statistics Organisation has released its first advanced forecast for India's GDP growth in FY24, expecting the economy to grow at 7.3%, higher than RBI's latest 7% forecast and also higher than CNBC-TV18's estimates of 6.8% growth. Latha is here to tell us more. Latha.
Oh, it's absolutely a stunning forecast that's come from the NSO, and it's a very reliable number because it comes from the preeminent statistics body. Of course, better than the CNBC poll of 6.8%. So on the street now, economists are scrambling to up their forecasts, with RBI also at 7. But you must just look at the difference. You know, the first RBI forecast was 6.5% when they made it in April 2023. And at that time, they were laughed at as optimistic because the street was at 6%. Look where we have come. It's a stunning story. But just a little bit in terms of the budget, there is a problem. The whole reason why the advance estimate is released is to ensure that the budget keeps that 5.9%. Now, in nominal GDP terms, that is inflation plus real GDP, the growth is only 8.9%. So the economy will be, the value of the GDP will be 296 trillion as of March 31st. Now, the budget had budgeted that the nominal GDP would grow by 10.8% to 302 trillion. So now 5.9% of a smaller number like 296 trillion would mean that the fiscal deficit will have to be lower by 37,000 crores compared to the budget. Not a very difficult proposition for the government, but just to point out. The positives in the NSO numbers, there are many, of course. The headline is a big positive, 7.3, but that has been made possible largely because of industry. Industry is growing at 7.9, and that's pushed by electricity and mining growing at over 8%. In services also at 7.7 is a good number, but within that, finance is doing extremely well at 8.9%. And all this is also buttressed from the expenditure side by government capex. That's huge. Capital expenditure is growing at 10.3%. It's double digit for the last 2-3 years. So that's positive. What's not working is that all the employment-heavy sectors are not showing growth. Agriculture and allied services, horticulture, forestry, all that, just 1.8%. So this big growth is not going to about half the population. Within services, trade, hotels, transport, you know, your Udupi hotels, ST buses, small taxis, that's growing at only 6.3, much lower than where the overall GDP is. And finally, if you look at consumption, capital expenditure is pushing up the economy, not consumption. That's growing by only 4.4% and 4.1% government consumption, which means this big growth doesn't appear to be trickling down and leading to higher consumption. At some point, capex will stop if it doesn't see enough consumption. That could be a worry.
All right, Latha, thanks very much for that. But that's a impressive kind of upgrade that we've seen over the last 1 year to full year FY24 growth expectations. So that is the macro for you. We'll take